Hello, welcome to JIBRIN Angle on Weleke TV. My name is JIBRIN, and this is my angle. Thank you once again for joining us today, together with Barrister Austin Manta. For those of you who have been following this show, you know Barrister Austin Manta. For those of you who don't know him, he's a very senior legal practitioner of over 40 years in practice and a public affairs analyst. Thank you once again, Barrister, for joining us today.
Thank you once again for having me.
All right, we have a lot to talk about today, and it has everything, literally everything has to do with Nigeria. No, not everything. I think we have at least one global topic to talk to discuss. All right, let's go. We shall be starting with Nnamdi, the Igbo. I think, okay, let me play this video. Then we'll come back to talk about the topic.
If I were to be president of Nigeria today, the first thing I would do is to head to the Southeast and apologize to them for the war. Nigeria has a problem. And I've always said, Nigeria has an Igbo problem. And I'm not saying it to please people who are known as Igbos. But the moment they decided to take the action they took in 1967 to 1970, the war, Nigeria, having won that war in their eyes, never forgave the Igbos. There is a secret memo, I don't know where it is located, in government, that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. Don't give them position. Don't give them opportunity. Otherwise, they will overrun. It's a well-known fact. Even our parents, tell us, Igbo. You understand? Some of them even say unconsciously. They even say it on radio shows in this country. So don't let us lie to ourselves, because except we bring this out openly and discuss, it's a taboo that we have refused to discuss.
True.
We are not going to solve the problem. It is the reason why the federal government of Nigeria feels that in 2024, detaining Nnamdi Kanu against all the court orders, against all the court rulings.
All right, Barrister. Does Nigeria have an Igbo problem?
We have an Igbo problem. Nobody can shy away from that. And for me, the Igbo problem arises from two angles. One, lack of trust by other Nigerians in the Igbos arising from the civil war. Even though the war has ended, it's over 50-something years that the war has ended, there's a lingering distrust of the Igbos. But that arose principally because of the civil war. But the main issue I have, or the way I want the matter to be resolved, is to collectively allow the Igbos to rule Nigeria. I think that would put a cap that will really end the civil war. The Igbos have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. They are doing well economically because of their ingenuity, because of their hard work. And there is a feeling in the Southeast that they have been ostracized from national resources. It is partially true and partially not true. But for a full stop, for a complete end to the civil war and all the consequences it brought, we must allow the Igbos to rule Nigeria, to take the presidency and rule Nigeria. I think once we cross that Rubicon, the civil war and all its hatred and all the consequences would be put behind us.
Now, we have talked about the issue of the Hausa, especially Hausa Fulani, who have failed to forgive the Igbos. And some people say Nigeria has not, just like what Sowore just mentioned there, Nigeria has not forgiven the Igbos. And I keep asking, anytime such thing comes up, I kept asking, who is to forgive who? Who really offended who? Who deserves forgiveness and who is supposed to be the apologizer? Who should render that apology? Is it the Nigerian nation or the Igbos or the Fulanis to the Igbos, Nigeria to the Igbos or whatever? So that is a very strong question. Now, before you answer this question, let me play this clip. I think it's about a minute plus clip. Let's play this clip, then you can talk about you can answer my question.
I won't give you a gist. In 1967, the Nigerian Civil War was barely 3 months old, right? Nigerian soldiers advanced into Asaba, and the people of Asaba came out en masse to welcome them. They all wore white, carried green leaves, shouting, "One Nigeria, one Nigeria." But you see, days prior, the Biafran army led by Joseph Achuzia had blown up the Onitsha Bridge, which meant the Nigerian soldiers not go fit easily advance into Onitsha. This pissed off the soldiers in Asaba, and without authorization from the federal government in Lagos, they separated the men and the boys from the women. These people who are dressed up in white to receive them and welcome them, shouting "One Nigeria," and they slaughtered all of them. One of the people killed in that exercise was the late Sidney Asiodu, who had represented Nigeria in the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. Alas, Sidney could not run for his life. He died there. This battalion of soldiers were led by Colonel Moritala Mohammed. On October 8th of 1967, the few men who had not gone for that parade were rounded up. They dug mass graves and put all these bodies that had been executed the previous day, about 700 of them, and they made these young men to start to cover the graves with sand. One of the men in his account says as he was covering, he saw his brother, and the brother said, "Are you going to bury me alive?" and begged, because the brother was still conscious. But the soldiers were standing by, barrels cocked, and said, "Listen, go ahead or you die." With tears in his eyes, he proceeded and buried his brother alive with the other dead bodies there. This is a sad history in Nigeria, but don't take my word for it. These are not my stories. You can go and check University of South Florida Digital Library, the Asaba Memorial Project. Type it, or you travel, go there, you see for yourself, or you can read Blood on the Niger by Ima Okocha.
Yeah, Barrister, yes, I think I start on that, and I think virtually everything he said there is everything he said there is written there in the books. Now, back to my question. You had the story, how people were summarily killed, even when they were on the side of the Nigerian troop. They didn't pose danger to the troops. For whatever reason, out of personal animosity, they just summarily killed all the men that didn't pose any harm to them. Barrister, based on this story and so many stories we've heard of how the Igbos were massacred, especially in the north, who do you think deserve an apology? And who is to do the forgiving here?
Well, my view, before I come to whether anybody deserves an apology, and if that is the case, who should do, let me say my view on the whole saga. Back in between 61 and the start of the Civil War, I know I was born, I was in primary school, a young boy. The kind of stories, Nigeria was in its infancy. There was a lot of ignorance. Today, information is passed here and there very quickly. Back then, it was not. I remember, and I kept telling, I think I mentioned to you, we live on the border with what was Biafra. My village is on the border with Obudu and Ogoja. These two settlements are where the civil war started. The civil war started from Obudu and Ogoja, and that's where my village is situated. So all of us were evacuated. The kind of stories out of ignorance, the kind of stories that were peddled, and around that time, the kind of fear, people in my place, for instance, were forced to make marks on their face, this tribal marks. Yes, to distinguish us from the Igbos, because they said if they catch you, they are going. If the Biafrans catch you, they are going to slaughter you. These were stories that were spread, and I believe on the other side too, the stories must have been that if the Nigerian people catch you, they are going to slaughter you. There was a lot of ignorance. People did not even know what they were fighting for. My people, for instance, is just under the umbrella of North. But we didn't, like I said, we didn't have any quarrel with the Igbos, and today too, we don't have any quarrel. But back then, people did not understand. There was no understanding. There was total ignorance. But the tribalism that was in Nigeria even before independence, by dint of some unfortunate incidents during the coups, where people that died appeared to be from one section, it's understandable the feeling of some people who felt that, oh, these people have killed our people. You can reflect back at that time, the sentiments of that time, and what transpired. Now, into the Civil War, I don't want to pick and choose. The Asaba massacre is a notorious incident in the war that is well known. You don't even need to go to library of anywhere. Within Nigeria, it is well known what happened in Asaba. But I do not want to pick and choose incidences during the Civil War to project my view. What I know is that if an opportunity were to come today, people will react very differently because of knowledge and because of the quick way information goes around today, unlike then. Now, when you talk about Nigeria not forgiving the Igbos, I ask, who is Nigeria? Till today, you cannot avoid talking of tribes in Nigeria. You cannot say Nigeria. Who is Nigeria? As we speak, many tribes, many ethnic nationalities that fought that war have no qualms, have no issue with the Igbos. They have no issue whether an Igbo ruled them or not. But some have up till today. So when Sowore is saying Nigeria has not forgiven the Igbos, I ask myself, who is Nigeria? Okay, take the Igbos out. Then who is Nigeria? You are referring to Southwest, North Central, Northeast, Northwest, and this thing. Within this conglomerate, there are a lot of people that do not have any issue with Igbos as of today. And again, there are other people, other groups that have issues with the Igbos. So when you are talking about forgiveness, I think we should move forward. I do not think it's necessary to have an overt act of expression of forgiveness like Sowore say that if he were president, he will now drive to the east and stand before them and say, we are sorry. I don't think that issue is necessary. Like I said, the war ended back in 1971. To a large extent, Igbos have reintegrated into Nigeria. What needs to be done is to move from that. This issue of stopping the Igbos from ruling Nigeria, which is the ultimate issue in Nigeria, must be removed to end the war, finally, and to give the Igbos the confidence that Nigeria belongs to them as well as to the rest of us. And to give other tribes, to show other tribes that we don't have issue with the Igbos now, that the mistakes that were made back then, we have left them there. We cannot continue with it. So that has always been my view.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister, for that detailed analysis you just gave. My problem is this issue of civil war between the Igbos and others has not ended. The only difference between then and now is that people are not carrying guns against each other. Apart from the insecurity issue, that's a general stuff. But today, I bet you it has even gotten worse. At least we had an Igbo vice president. Since then, have we had any Igbo man close to that presidency? No. Not only we have not, Igbo people have been deprived of key and sensitive positions in government. The moment an Igbo man gets close to, even in the hierarchy of succession in civil service, either in the military or paramilitary, the moment an Igbo man gets to the stage where he or she will be elevated to the highest level in that agency or organization, the retired person. And this thing has been so systemic that it has gotten to a point where it is very difficult. If you go to all the ministries and all the federal ministries and parastatals of the federal government, you will hardly find an Igbo man or Igbo woman that is actually is either second or third in the succession of power. They have been able to, because it has been systemic, they've been able to eliminate the chain, cut the Igbo men and women from that chain of succession. So that before it even get to your level, you must have gotten to retirement age and they pull you out.
Yeah. And honestly say that the impression you are giving is not entirely correct.
Okay.
I can point, if you remember during Jonathan's time,
Yes.
was the chief of army staff.
Yes, I remember that.
Soludo has been governor of the central bank. Emefiele was governor of the central bank for a long time.
No, but I'm coming. No, hold on. Honestly, while I was giving that, all that was on my mind because I remember
I wanted to make a point. Why things have not certain things appear to be like that. Igbos have been constitutionally, Igbo must be ministers because a minister must come from a state by the constitution. So you must have at least 5 Igbo ministers from the 5 states that you have, maybe from Delta too, and other, even some Igbos in Rivers. Rivers has a good number of Igbos. So it's not entirely correct.
But it's not categorized as an Igbo state. That's just it.
But let's put the 5 Igbo states. The problem of politics and how it is played in Nigeria, go back to 79, when the North allied with the Southeast, in particular. Ekwueme was the vice president. Then the whole cry in the country was the Yorubas were crying of marginalization. They were the ones crying that they have been ostracized from government. Then, from their project, from that first republic, second republic of Shagari, the issues came from the overthrow of Shagari, the coming into force of power of the military, from Buhari to Babangida to Abacha and upwards. Even during Buhari, Babangida, I believe, Ekiwe, sorry, was chief of
Nava.
Do you call it Nava staff, and later chief of defense staff, something. So the issues of politics, particularly from Obasanjo's time, you can't accuse that
Yes,
government of
no, Obasanjo tried.
marginalization
Now,
of
to his
the
credit,
Igbos.
Obasanjo tried to balance. Let me tell you, I'm trying to. I was actually going somewhere. Now, the truth is, yes, there was an interjection through Obasanjo. When Obasanjo came in, Obasanjo wanted. That is why you and I so much believe in Obasanjo. You and I think Obasanjo, since after him, no, but we've not had anybody as good as him, and no, we've not had any president that is as patriotic as Obasanjo, because Obasanjo was truly a pan-Nigerian president who actually tried to balance. He tried his best to balance the equation and bring the country together. So that was what he did. But what happened when he came? He was the one. His advent was what actually truncated that systemic problem. Now, when he left, he decided to bring in Jonathan to continue from where he stopped, which was why Jonathan got to that point where he got to where we had Ihejirika as the chief of army staff. That wasn't Jonathan's doing. It was Obasanjo's. It was the foundation Obasanjo laid that gave all those people, the Ihejirika, the chief of army staff, and General Azazi, right? Yes, and General Azazi, the late General Azazi. So it was Obasanjo's handwork. He was the one who truncated that systemic problem, and he actually came to correct it. Unfortunately, we had Jonathan after Jonathan left. What is his name? Buhari came in. Buhari came in and truncated what Obasanjo wanted to correct, and continued.
Buhari's government was the worst for Igbo.
Correct, and continue with that systemic problem. Correct, and now continue with that original foundational systemic problem that Obasanjo actually wanted to correct. So Buhari cut it short and continued from where the foundations. So that is my point. And since then, we have had this issue. And we're on one topic. In one topic, we're going to be talking further about this issue of ministers. Each state should have at least each state should have a minister or whatever. There's a topic we're going to treat specifically on that to actually prove to you that this thing is systemic, and it is intentional. It is deliberate. It is a planned thing that they do not want the Igbos to. Look at what is happening in Lagos now under Tinubu, for God's sake. Look at what is happening in Lagos under Tinubu. What is happening in the southeast? He's basically doing nothing for the southeasterners, and look at what is happening to the Igbos too in Lagos. So everything, the situation is getting worse. We are supposed to be healed. The Igbos are supposed to have healed. Unfortunately, the Nigerian nation keeps reminding us keep reopening this wound, keep reopening these memories by their treatment, by their awful, denigrating, and biased treatment of the Igbos. So, honestly, I don't think there is anyone that will argue that the Igbos are really, really biasedly treated in Nigeria, completely different from other ethnic groups. All right.
I was going to a point. I gave the example of Obasanjo and then Yaradua.
Yes.
But the recent movement is not going in the right direction. In fact, it's extreme.
Yeah.
From the upper north. The extreme view. At a point, we thought, okay, we are going in the right direction. The full and final rehabilitation of the Igbos is coming. But now we are seeing something different. A reverse course has been taken, with people swearing that the Igbo man can never rule Nigeria.
Yeah.
And not just one or two people, a conscious effort being made with reference to the advent of Peter Obi.
Yeah.
That now made, I don't know whether it aroused a consciousness that, because in the past, there is no credible Igbo person that has challenged for the presidency. The only strong and credible candidate that almost became the president, or if not stopped, should have become the president is Peter Obi. And that has aroused the subconscious hatred, so to speak, of the Igbos by certain sections of the country. And that is what I'm condemning. That is what I'm condemning.
Yeah, let's move on to the next topic. Anyway, the bottom line is there is no doubt, it's indisputable that Igbos are really, really sidelined in the affairs of government in Nigeria. And be it as it may, they are sidelined, but they are the most successful of all. You see, that's how God works. That's just the reality. You just imagine, what if these people had not been sidelined? These are successful people. What if they had not been sidelined? Men, probably their influence could have actually overwhelmed or buried other parts of the or other ethnic groups, sort of. So probably, I don't know, maybe God allowed it that way to let it to happen that way. Otherwise, the Igbos would have been too powerful compared to other parts of the country.
Let me add something, that in a country like the US, where you are taken for who you are, the import man will fly.
Yeah.
He will succeed.
Yeah.
Because there, wherever you settle, whatever you do, it is your ability.
Yes, it is yours.
That will carry you.
Yeah.
But it is not so in Nigeria.
No, not.
When you seem to be succeeding on your personal
No,
fortune,
envy and everything
an
just
object of jealousy. An object
envy.
of jealousy.
Yes.
Envy. So
Yeah.
you can see the problem. If an Igbo man should come to a particular place and begin to succeed,
honestly,
he is immediately an object of envy and jealousy. Instead of celebrating him, because
that is
and
why
they now say, okay, this is not our own.
And do you know, I don't know if you have noticed something. I don't know if you have noticed something, that the Igbo man, wherever it's not fertile, wherever land that is dry, wherever land that is unfruitful, the moment an Igbo man steps his feet on that land becomes fruitful. Anywhere you see Igbo men coming in, you see land, properties getting more expensive. They skyrocket. Anywhere you see them, anywhere they live, anything around Igbo men becomes very, very expensive, very valuable, very viable. So it's a kind of, they are a kind of destiny people destined for success. They have good aura of success around them.
I have no doubt in my mind that it is a very grievous and serious mistake to try to suppress the Igbos. They are an addition. I mean, they are a good addition of value. They add value.
That is it. They add value to the society.
They find themselves. And if we understand that, we should celebrate. We should have no issue.
No, but with Nigerians, being Nigerians, they rather prefer to envy them and try pulling them down.
The nature of tribalism and religious sentiments here will not allow for that.
Honestly.